To celebrate Halloween, let's take a look at the most popular costumes each year, going back to 1950 and working our way all the way up to this year, 2025. Let me know your favorite costume in the comments below, and if you feel I might have forgotten something, let me know that too. If you enjoy these nostalgic deep dives, make sure to subscribe to my channel so you get notifications of future videos. We'll start off in 1950, where we have a classic Halloween costume, and that is the cowboy. In 1951, we saw costumes related to Alice in Wonderland, and the character Tarzan being at the top of the list. The next year, 1952, had costumes that were inspired by the movie Singing in the Rain, and that was followed in 1953 with people wanting to dress up as both Mickey Mouse and Peter Pan. Batman will show up here on our list for the first time in 1954. One thing to remember when we're looking at this list is that some things are just popular all the time, and so I'll try to just mention them like the first time that they come up or when they have a new version. In 1955, kids were dressing up as the king of the wild frontier, Davy Crockett, and that was followed in 1956 by costumes inspired by the musical The King and I. Classic monster would be at the top of the heap in 1957 with Frankenstein showing up, and then the next year in 1958, costumes inspired by Zorro that would be the #1 pick for kids. Marilyn Monroe would be a very popular costume in the next year, 1959. And then as we move into the next decade, 1960, we see hula dancers being a popular costume choice. The next year, in 1961, girls were excited to dress up as Audrey Hepburn's character from the movie Breakfast at Tiffany's. And that was followed in 1962 by an equally classy choice, that being Rocky and Bullwinkle. Lucille Ball, famous from the show I Love Lucy, would be popular in 1963, and she would also be joined by people dressing up like Cleopatra. The British invasion took over Halloween in 1964, with kids wanting to dress up like their favorite Beatle. And then in 1965, people would pick the musical duo Sonny and Cher to dress up as well as Raggedy Ann. 1966 would have a number of different popular costumes, including Batman, costumes based off of the TV show Star Trek, Barbie, and Casper the Friendly Ghost. TV shows would continue to be popular inspirations for costumes in 1967, with both Morticia Addams and Jeannie from I Dream of Jeannie being popular choices. In 1968, Rosemary's Baby would bring a scary option to the top of the Halloween costume list, but you could also find something fun by wearing a costume inspired by the TV show Laugh-In. 1969 saw astronauts being a very popular choice for kids to dress up as on Halloween, and that option was joined by the king of rock and roll himself, Elvis Presley. In 1970, the Beatles would be back again, this time with a very different look as the Sgt. Pepper Lonely Hearts Club Band. And the people also were looking to get costumes inspired by Scooby-Doo. In 1971, the movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory would give people a number of different costumes to choose from. And in 1972, gangsters would reign supreme, with The Godfather, specifically Don Corleone, being a popular costume choice on October 31st. In 1973, kids might choose to dress up as one of the Brady Bunch kids. And then in 1974, there were a few different options at the top of the costume list, with people either deciding to be an ape from the Planet of the Apes, a member of the band Kiss, or Bugs Bunny. In 1975, the first blockbuster came out with Jaws, and this would be the beginning of starting to see movies really being an inspiration for popular costumes. Not to say the TV would completely drop off. As we move into 1976, we see that Charlie's Angels would be a big Halloween hit. And then in 1977, and every year moving forward, Star Wars would give people a lot of different choices of things to dress up as on Halloween. In 1978, people were drawing inspiration from the movie Halloween, with them either dressing up as Michael Myers himself or Laurie Strode. And then some people were choosing to dress up as John Travolta from the movie Saturday Night Fever. Moving into 1979, people of all ages were choosing to dress up as Rocky Balboa and the last son of Krypton, Superman. In 1980, John Travolta would be back, but this time with his character from the movie Grease, and he would be joined by the characters from the TV show The Dukes of Hazzard. In 1981, the fedora of Indiana Jones would become a popular accessory, as people would dress up like that archaeologist. And then in the following year, 1982, E.T., Annie, and the Smurfs would be popular Halloween costume choices. In 1983, Michael Jackson, specifically Michael Jackson from the music video Thriller, would serve as a popular Halloween costume choice. And then in 1984, another musical act, that being Madonna, would be a popular choice, as would the Ghostbusters. 1985 would see nightmares coming to life with Freddy Krueger wandering the streets, trick-or-treating, as well as people dressing up as their favorite character from the movie Back to the Future. In 1986, if you were wanting to choose a popular costume, you might dress up as a California Raisin, or Jim from Jim and the Holograms. Or the next year, in 1987, you might want to dress up as Alf, or the extremely kid-friendly costume of RoboCop. 1988 saw Michael Keaton being popular with Beetlejuice, and he was joined by the comic strip character Garfield. And then in 1989, Michael Keaton was popular again, this time though as Batman, and he was joined by his co-star in that film, Jack Nicholson's Joker. As we move into the 1990s, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would be a hugely popular choice when it came to dressing up for Halloween. And then in 1991, we would have another R-rated movie that would inspire a ton of kids' costumes with Terminator 2 Judgment Day. 1992 would see Barney and Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman battling it out to be the most popular costume of the year. And then in 1993, if you wanted to pick from the top of the heap, you could either be a Power Ranger, Genie from Aladdin, or a dinosaur from Jurassic Park. In 1994, The Simpsons were still at their peak of popularity, so a lot of kids were wanting to dress up like Bart Simpson, but kids also found themselves wanting to dress up as the characters from Disney's The Lion King. In 1995, Dumb and Dumber came out, so costumes related to that movie were popular, as were costumes based off of James Bond. The Spice Girls and the movie Clueless were the top choices for the year 1996, and then as you move into the year 1997, if you were wanting to pick from the most popular costumes, you could either go with Austin Powers, Ghostface from Scream, or you could be a Men in Black. 1998 saw The Big Lebowski as the popular Halloween costume choice, as well as the American version of Godzilla. And then in 1999, The Matrix was very popular, as was Star Wars once again, this time with the release of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Starting in the year 2000, you would see a lot of kids dressed up as Pokemon. And then in the next year, 2001, Harry Potter would be an extremely popular choice. In 2002, the live-action Spider-Man movie would come out, so that would be a popular choice for a costume, as would Scooby-Doo and the Gang. The Pirates of the Caribbean, specifically Jack Sparrow, was something that kids wanted to dress up as in the year 2003. And though he was already popular, in 2004, SpongeBob really was hitting his stride and became the most popular costume of that year. In 2005, Star Wars is added again, this time with the release of Star Wars Episode 3. Darth Vader and Chewbacca would be big hits in there. Then people would also be dressing up as nurses and doctors because of the popularity of the TV show Grey's Anatomy. In 2006, the movie V for Vendetta was extremely popular, so a lot of people were wearing the Guy Fawkes mask. And in 2007, to coincide with the release of the third Shrek movie, Shrek was at the top of the list, as was Hannah Montana and Master Chief from the Halo series. In 2008, Halloween kind of changed forever, with Heath Ledger's The Joker becoming popular, and it's really been popular ever since, for better or for worse. If you didn't want to be quite that edgy, you could dress up as a character from High School Musical, or you could go political, dressing up as either John McCain or Barack Obama. In 2009, Twilight would bring vampires back to the top of the Halloween costume list, but they would also be joined by Alan from the movie The Hangover and the musical artist Lady Gaga. In 2010, you might have dressed up as a Na'vi from the movie Avatar, the Mad Hatter, or a member of the TV show Jersey Shore. The Walking Dead had premiered the year before on Halloween, so in the following year, 2011, costumes tied into that show were extremely popular, as were costumes from the mobile game Angry Birds. 2012 saw the release of Marvel's Avengers, so a lot of people were dressing up as those characters. Then people were also dressing up as Katniss from the Hunger Games. Though it wasn't the first year people dressed up as Minions, they really started to take off here in 2013, as did costumes tied into the TV show Breaking Bad and the movie Iron Man 3. 2014 saw a lot of great options for group costumes, with the Guardians of the Galaxy, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and the cast of characters from the movie Frozen, all being top choices. In 2015, you could dress up as Disney's The Descendants, Joker's ex-girlfriend Harley Quinn, or Pizza Rat. Let me know if you remember Pizza Rat in the comments below. 2016 saw the release of Stranger Things, which led to a bunch of people dressing up as characters from that show. And then David S. Pumpkins premiered that year, and so people who were last minute trying to decide on a Halloween costume had a fun choice with that one. 2017 saw the continued rise of Five Nights at Freddy's, with costumes tied in with that video game series, as well as people dressing up as the DC character Wonder Woman. In 2018, the Marvel character Black Panther took off, as did costumes tied into the movie It, with both Pennywise and Georgie being very popular, and then joining them was another horror movie icon that came out that year, The Nun. In 2019, Fortnite was blowing up even more than it had before, and so a lot of costumes tied into that were at the top of people's lists, as were costumes that tied in with the Avengers in-game. The new Star Wars characters, the Mandalorian and the Child, who we would later find out was named Grogu, would be popular choices for people. In 2020 and 2021, the Netflix series Squid Game offered up a few different options when it comes to costumes, and then the Disney movie Cruella, telling the origins of Cruella de Vil, was also at the top of the list. In 2022, we had the release of Hocus Pocus 2, so the Sanderson sisters from Hocus Pocus were extremely popular, as were the characters from Stranger Things as a new season of that show was coming out. In 2023, the Super Mario Bros. Movie was released, so even though characters from that franchise were always popular choices, they exploded in popularity this year, as did Barbie and Ken, and Wednesday and Enid from the Netflix show Wednesday, based off of the Addams Family. Last year in 2024, with the release of Inside Out 2, people chose to dress up as different emotions, but it also wasn't uncommon to see Deadpool or Wolverine. And then that brings us to this year, where we'll have to see exactly what's going to be the most popular, but right now I'm betting on K-pop Demon Hunter, Wicked, and of course, the Chicken Jockey from Minecraft. Thanks for taking a look back at the popular costumes of yesteryear. Don't forget to leave a comment below on what your favorite costume was, and to subscribe to get notifications of future videos.